Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for December 18th, 2018. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. At 6:30, we opened for executive session under two items. We recessed from executive session to come to our meeting for tonight. On tonight's agenda, at 7:05, we have a public hearing. We have invited guests from Council on Aging. We have a town manager report. For discussion items, we have our annual renewal of license, appointments to various boards. Let's see, a possible change name to a committee that we have, discussion of electronic voting committee, a discussion appointment of DPW facility feasibility committee. We're going to open the annual town warrant, motion to approve a senior veteran work-off policy, motion to accept an easement for a water line off of West River Street, motion to accept a donation to the COA. We're going to execute an agreement with the Up the Ridge Pulte Homes and execute another agreement with Beta Group for TIP engineering. Do you know what time it is? Is it 7:05?
7:08.
7:08. So we're going to open our public hearing. Is Mr. Larson from National Grid here? Sandy, have all the abutters been notified? Answered properly. Mr. Larson's here. He represents National Grid.
Correct.
He's here to talk about a permission to remove a pole guy.
On tree guys.
Oh, sorry about that. Tree guy on 22 Mechanic Street and installed a stub pole in its place. This pole will be known as 9-98 and is needed for stabilization purposes because of a curve in the roadway. Turn it over to you.
Yeah, so basically there's an overwater tree guy out there right now, which they're hanging around. Not too sure who they want to remove the tree. So we always do a pole across the street just to help guide all the other poles because there is a corner on that road.
Any questions?
Yeah, where is it exactly?
It's between 22 Mechanic Street and 24 Mechanic Street. And we always try to put it right on the lot line between the two, so it's not in front of anybody's house.
I mean, right now there's a rotted tree, I believe it's in.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Seems pretty straightforward. I assume you have to do this quite often.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Is there any abutters or anything from Mechanic Street?
Yeah, we've got some issues with this.
Okay, please come forward. You have to. And then I just need you to identify yourself so we know. For the
Yeah,
record.
I'm Elroy Baker at 22 Mechanic Street.
Okay. And the other gentleman.
Aaron Belville, I live at 24 Mechanic Street.
Okay, sir.
So I guess our concern really is the size of the pole, where it's going to be disruption to the properties that were there. There's been significant investment by both tenants to the lawn, gardens, and everything. It seems the pole is on the opposite side of the street. There might be a better solution by putting a stabilizing brace or anything along those lines on the current property that it's on, because it's on the other side of the street between the Elmses and Richard's house.
I'll have to turn this over to. I don't know anything about.
Okay, so the
Do we
side
have like a drawing or a map so we can sort of visualize what it looks like? Yeah, perfect. Is there one package?
So the size of the pole is your normal utility pole, across the background. It's probably about 35 feet high. It will have an anchor coming down, a guy wire, probably going approximately 4 feet into the property. Try and get rid of the lot line as best as I can tell, just for mowings or whatever, where the lot line would be.
Right. Yeah,
Have you guys seen this?
I have not.
Okay, why don't you come take that?
So you said it would be a pole with an anchor?
Correct.
And then, of course, it'll have a line running across the street to the other pole?
Yes.
Okay.
Will there be a line running to each of these two poles?
No, just one of them.
Just one, which one, 8 or 9?
Probably
Should be 9, right?
should be that one, correct.
Got it.
9. The one that is currently 9.
We just used the other one for reference to see
Yeah.
the poles going up and down.
Perfect.
You're saying there's going to be a wire that runs back into my land here on
on that pole?
Correct.
Your pole?
Yeah.
This is gonna be right in the middle of my flower garden here.
Okay.
Or whatever. My point is the town gonna pay for this or National Grid?
National Grid pays 100%.
Because it's gonna be very expensive. You gotta cut that tree trunk down, just 25 feet high, right? Wait a minute.
We do not take care of the tree trunk.
Okay. What about the stump in the ground? There's two stumps that will probably have to come out, am I right?
That'll be up to whoever decides if the tree's on town property or if it's on public property, who wants to get rid of it. We will not touch the tree. National Grid will not touch it.
Okay, but to put that post in there that you're talking about, you're gonna have to get rid of at least one of those trunks,
Okay.
the stumps,
Mhm.
which is gonna be a massive undertaking, just a big, big stump.
Okay.
So you're talking about a big hole in the ground and disruption to the garden that I've got there, a lot of the flowers. Am I gonna be reimbursed for the flower losses or?
Possibly, it depends on how much disturbance we do. We always try and make it as best we can.
Yeah, my question is, why is it not a lot more economically feasible and a lot more aesthetically feasible to lean a post up on the other side of the road to support that telephone pole? You don't have to worry about the pole on my side.
By doing that pole has to be just the angle, the distance from the base of the two poles would probably be approximately 20, 25 feet.
That's doable. I have pictures of.
Good to go.
So,
Yeah, no, that's-
but this is just our aesthetically wise, according to most people, not seeing that what we call a push brace. That's a lot more unaesthetical.
Well, if you see
To
the,
people, yeah.
if you see the tree trunk now, you seen it? Have you seen it?
I went out there probably 3 or 4 months ago when I designed it.
Have you all seen it?
No, sir.
Would you like to see it?
You have a picture?
Sure. I have a picture. It sits up in the middle of pretty much nowhere. And get you a shot here just a second. That's the situation right now. That's the way it looks right now. The big tree trunk there is the one with the wire on it.
Okay.
And it's pretty ugly. It's pretty ugly.
So your point is that where's the telephone pole in relation to this?
Across the street from that,
So the
So
basically,
you'd basically be replacing this with a telephone pole.
exactly, a big ugly pole.
This is pretty ugly.
It is
I
ugly.
was gonna say, so are you,
My point is.
I'm not sure of the argument, because it looks to me like the
So
pole
this-
should
this-
look better
this-
than that tree, right?
Right, this is in your front yard now?
Correct.
This
Right.
big ugly tree?
Yeah, it's down by the road, yeah.
Down by the road? This is a driveway here, I assume?
Yes.
Got it. And you can't leave this connected like this because that tree is rotting,
That
presumably?
tree's gonna go over and then eventually the
Right.
poles that it's holding are gonna go over.
Right, so what do you think would look better than this? Would look better than replacing
I
this with a
think
pole?
putting a pole on the other side of the telephone pole that would.
Like
try
at
to
a big
support-
angle like this?
Yeah, right. I've got pictures of someone out there.
Is there someone yard over on that side?
Yes.
Richardson and Elm.
So they don't have a big pole in their front yard going across?
Well, it's on the boundary of their land, I believe. Is that right, Bob?
boundary's right there at the pole.
Would you rather have that big pole as well? Or would you not want the pole? I wouldn't want the pole, so you can admit that. Okay. That's seems pretty reasonable. Right, no, I would agree with that.
I think you spent a good amount of time.
So they don't want the pole, you don't want the pole, but somebody's gotta have the pole.
But they spent a good amount of time getting permission to take these trees down because Mechanic Street's ruled scenic,
Yeah,
and now you're gonna have this wire still running across a scenic road, and what's more, again, I go back to the economics.
The other
What's more
thing is-
economical?
well, the economics are moot because it has nothing to do with the town's money. So it's National Grid can spend, as far as I'm concerned, National Grid can spend their money any way they want to.
It's whose tree is it?
I don't have any idea.
Right, that's the question, because the
But
tree's gonna
nobody's-
have to come out
the-
in order for the pole to go in.
Yeah,
But I think the way I'm understanding it is if they're gonna, in place of the tree, they're gonna put a pole there, right?
so you guys are cutting the tree down.
We will not touch the tree.
He
We'll
said-
probably put it like a foot to the side of it, right in the base. The tree's dead anyway, so any excavation without pole digging, it's not.
So your auger.
Yeah, our log is right over this wide. We'll make a pole down there, we backfill it, so you can just see the pole.
Right.
Like I said, the tree roots are dead anyways, so anything we do is not gonna hurt the tree anymore.
Can we ask, I assume Dennis, we would have to take this tree trunk down or leave it there?
I'm not
Well, sorry, I'm
familiar
talking
with
about Dennis as well.
I'm not familiar with the tree. I know that we have pole hearings all the time, and generally my highway manager goes out and inspects the location where National Grid stakes it off to make sure that there's not gonna be a line of sight issue, there's not gonna be an issue with our snow plows, or where we push the snow. We don't usually take a hard look at people's flower beds or things of that nature. The tree, I'm not familiar with it. It sounds like it's probably a town tree. I'd be more than happy to look at it.
It's a stump, it's like a 30-foot tall, 25-foot tall
Is it
stump.
close to the road?
It's close to the road.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
It's probably not a tree.
my next question is, if you were to guess, from the side of the road, the edge of the road to the base of that tree, can you be more or less than 5 feet?
It's
Yeah,
less
it's
than,
probably,
it is less than
It's Mechanic Street.
The other thing about this is, and I think you this, that wire is anything but ideal. As I talked to National Grid about this, it's supposed to be perpendicular to the phone line or the power lines, the wire running across there. This one is actually at about a 25-degree off angle, which is not ideal. And the new pole is going to be exactly the same. It's going to be a bad angle for that wire. Just another negative for the pole as far as I'm concerned. I don't see why it's, well, you know, I understand Bob's point of view. But to me, having that pole sitting out in the middle of nowhere,
Would you like to have that tree taken down?
well, if they'll just take the wire down, I'll take the tree down, the rest of the tree down.
Mhm.
I mean, I have no problem with that. But,
If I can,
So you'll take the
just,
tree down?
if I can just tell a quick story, we had a situation at our shop with a wire across the street. And as these poles, or in this case, the tree rots, they lose tension on that wire. And what happened is it caused the other pole to lean, the wires then became too close to the ground. The truck hooked the wire, broke the pole, and it fell on one of my trucks. So I appreciate the input by everybody in attendance. However, at the very least, this is public safety. And if these guys are gonna put a pole there and put a guy wire to really anchor that pole, there's other issues here. There's those wires, if those poles start bending because, you know, the tension isn't correct, the pole ends up peeling the other way and the wires end up hanging low. So this is, you know, public safety.
yeah, I understand, I agree with you. Believe me, that tree just barely died a year or so ago. The moths got to it, or whatever those worms were, it went and killed the white oaks. It was a big white oak. It was a very healthy tree before that, and there's no give in that line between the tree stump and the cable. It's very taut. There's no, you know, it's not bending over that way at all. So my point was, I would prefer naturally to have a pole on the other side of the road and not have my this thing sticking up at the end of my driveway there, like the tree trunk is now. But if that's not feasible, we'll just have to go with what you got, I guess.
I mean, I guess my thought would be if we could work this thing all through, if this is, National Grid feels this is the safest way to anchor that line and keep that pole, you know, keep obviously everybody safe. You already have that wire coming across the road now, so we're not really adding anything there. You know, we're not, I don't think it's any more obtrusive than it would be. If the town is able to remove that tree and National Grid is able to set up that pole with the anchor, is that amicable to all parties?
They'll take care of the tree and the stump.
Yeah, I mean, if the town is willing to take care of the tree, I guess I shouldn't speak without consulting you gentlemen, but if the town is able to do that and National Grid is able to install this pole and wire as they've got it engineered, is that acceptable to you gentlemen?
Well, it's not acceptable to me, but I have no choice, I suppose. I just don't see why you can't lean a post up there from the other side of the road. I think that would be, first of all, it would be 90
because
degrees.
the people across the street don't want a big pole leaning at a 45-degree angle on their yard, so
I
it's,
don't want a big pole in mine either.
well, I understand, but that's the issue, right? Someone's gotta have it. So I understand you don't want it, but neither do the neighbors, so I can't give your opinion more weight than the neighbor's opinion because neither of you want it. So your front yard's not any more or less valuable than your neighbor's front yard.
No, I agree.
Okay.
Do you, is it amicable to you, or do you think?
I agree with him. I'd rather, the pole's on the other side of the road, and again, if you're gonna brace, it doesn't make sense to run a wire across and hold it. Makes more sense to put a pole, buttress the current post there if the pole's leaning that way. So that's why the guide wire is going across, put something behind the brace. I understand the impact of the neighbors, but we're being impacted as well.
Exactly, somebody's
So-
gonna be impacted.
Right.
Okay. Dennis, do you have any opinion on how these things get done, or not? You don't have to.
Can I ask a question through the chair?
Yeah, sure.
Is your biggest concern the guideline going into the flower bed and the disturbance of your landscape area? Or is your biggest concern having a telephone pole there, period?
No, I think the biggest concern is the disturbance of the landscape there.
So if we were able to make that work in a fashion where you were satisfied with the outcome and your landscape was able to stay intact, which I've seen plenty of times, would that satisfy you?
It would be better. It would be
That's a
better.
step in the right direction.
I mean, the pole is just ugly there, let's face it. If you drive down the street there and you look and see that tree now, you say, wow, that's ugly.
Can I ask National Grid a question through the chair? Do you have, I know you probably didn't engineer it yourself, but did your engineer mention that if there was any leeway for the pole to move to one side or the other?
Yeah, we
Could
could
it
probably
move a
go a
few
couple feet left or right. No, we can't go forward towards the road, so that's a safety
Correct.
issue. We can always get back a little more. I'd be happy to meet with you guys next week, maybe like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. See if we can come up with something, a better location with that stake. I'm not sure if the stake is there now, because they always get wrecked up.
I'd be more than happy to assist, Mr. Chairman.
And is that, if the pole, about how wide is your flower bed in your rock garden that you have there?
Well, it starts at a V that's roughly 4.5 feet wide and then goes up and arcs up to his driveway and just keeps going in a straight line down my property line.
Is moving the pole a few feet in one direction or the other, is that something that's gonna be helpful, or, because it doesn't change the
I think
look?
it depends on whether you've got to rip that stump up, see, that's the biggie, because that's gonna make a heck of a
That
mess.
stump looks behind the other tree though. I don't even think that stump's really.
So, but I don't think they have to rip the stump up, right? You were saying you would just move it to a place
I
where you
think
wouldn't
they
have to
will.
Probably
rip
go
the
right to
stump.
the base of the left of the tree.
They've
Right.
got,
You know,
there are
either
there are two stakes in there now, the red and white stakes.
Right.
And that, is that signify where you want to put the pole?
Yeah, and then probably the backer stake
Well, that's
on
right
your
by the
property.
tree. That's right by the tree, which means that stump has to come out, and that's gonna be,
Well, hold on, you should make assumptions, right? He's saying that they don't have to take the stump up, so let's confirm that. Can we confirm that?
I'm 100% right now, no, but 95%.
Yeah.
The only problem in that is if that stump is coming 100% out, if I have my pole there,
Yeah.
then we take the stump out, it's gonna undermine
The other.
the
Right,
pole.
so their
we're
preference is to
putting
not
in.
take the stump out.
So the auger may have enough power to go through the roots.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh, yeah.
what the thinking is, so if it can stay there, it will help stabilize the pole. For me-
And not
for me,
disrupt your
actually,
garden.
Which stump are you talking about, the tree or the stump?
I think there's some behind it, I think.
Yeah, there's two stumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'd be happy to meet you
Absolutely.
after Christmas.
Yep.
When was National Grid planning on replacing this pole?
It'd probably be middle of January, late January anyways. Just because the season's coming around with the snowstorms and, you know, blue sky day, a month, but with storms, we always get pushed back.
And obviously, we have the holiday coming up, but I suppose if you gentlemen think you can all meet within the next 7 days, that would probably be a good idea.
I can give you my information.
Absolutely.
We'll go from there.
Great. Thank you.
What kind of-
Gentlemen, hopefully it resolves itself.
Make a motion on the pole? Or are we gonna wait to hear back on that?
We should make the motion, right? I'm comfortable making a motion.
What is the motion for?
To install the
To
pole?
authorize, this petition to relocate the pole, subject to, fine tuning the location.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. We'll make a motion to approve the petition for the construction of this pole. Again, in regard to working out the differences with the rock art.
Second, it's unanimous action.
Sandy, that's going to take a little work to make that motion sound good. A little bit.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda, Mrs. Nowicki. How you doing tonight?
Good evening.
Just so I can tell everybody in the audience, we're gonna move the agenda around a little bit, since we have Mrs. Nowicki up here. We're also gonna do, after this, we're also gonna do her other two items, 7.3 and 7.9. So you have to wait around. So,
Yeah, take that all at once.
Thank you.
all you
Okay. All right, well, thank you for the opportunity to come and speak.
feeling better?
Pardon me?
Feeling better?
No, not really. But thank you for asking. So I just wanted to kind of, for the folks maybe that are watching at home too, because I know that the board is very much aware of what we do. And we really are the social service agency for the town. We're looking to, my title was changed to Director of Social and Elder and Social Services. And we're looking to move more in that direction, making sure that people are aware. We're trying to provide support for low income families in need. We've had helped fires with fires, tornadoes, I mean, you name it, we do all of that. Working with folks with disabilities, seniors, and all that kind of population. Jessica is my social services coordinator. We have quite a team there. Very happy to be working there with a great staff. I think we've had a great successful year. I wanted to just point out a few things if I could. I'm trying to keep this down because I have so much that I could tell you. Because honestly, it's been a very busy year. Yes. Senator Moore has been wonderful sponsoring different programs through the year. And I really want to take an opportunity to mention him, and that he also has office hours at the senior center. So if people have issues, they can come and speak with a representative from his office, and sometimes he's able to come himself. Representative Meridian, also incredible supporter of the senior center and the things that we do there. They both, Senator Moore and Representative Meridian, just sponsored our Christmas party, which was nice, included a whole pasta dinner, entertainment, lots of fun, and the seniors didn't have to pay anything for that, which is highly unusual because in other centers, I know around here, we looked it up, they pay $10, $15 to go to Christmas parties. So our folks have it really lucky. I mentioned my staff, but I could really quickly. Bernadette Jensen is my department specialist. She's incredible. And I have 3 great bus drivers. We have Kevin, John, and I'm sorry, it's a cold medicine. Kevin, John, and our volunteer driver is Jim Earl. Just an incredible amount of volunteers that we help that really do things. Also, another monthly event that we have that our seniors look quite forward to is that our town manager, Derek, comes in and cooks breakfast for the folks. So that's really fun. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for them to get to know Derek, to come in and ask their questions. I mean, just that involvement means a lot to us, to have the support, and to the seniors to know that someone cares enough to come. So I think that's really big. I have all these things I was going to mention, but I'm not going to get into all of them. We have lots of health programs that we provide on a monthly basis. If you look at our newsletter, that Bernadette is the one that writes that every month. If you look at the one that was done 5 years ago when I first started, and the things that we offer and what we're doing now, it's night and day. So I'm very, very proud of that. We do a lot of entertainment, social programs. The #1 issue facing seniors is loneliness. And some more research just came out that people, used to think they'd have a partner to grow old with, and that's not so much the case anymore. So we're really addressing that. The other thing that I'm really proud of is the collaboration that we have with other departments within the town. For example, the library, we've done story time where we've had our seniors go down and read storybooks to the kids. They come to the senior center and do trivia with our folks. Just a wonderful collaboration. Great collaboration with the schools. We've had breakfast, lunch with the elementary schools. BVT students come. They did free manicures at the senior center, which everybody really enjoyed. And they also have done safety presentations. Their dental group are coming in, I think in January. Nipmuc, I just met with, they have a community partnership, so I'm going to become a part of that. The police department, we do our annual supper. Fire department, I was invited to do some training on mandated reporting last week or the week before. I can't remember when I went, but it was great. Lots of information. They always come and do their fire and safety talk. Just, I think that this is one of the things I've found, this is the third town I've worked in, that there is a real cohesiveness within the departments and people wanting to work together and to do the best that we can do. And I'm very proud to be a part of that. And Jessica's going to highlight some of the things that she does.
Good evening. I am the social service coordinator. I know it's a mouthful. Some of the things I actually just wanted to touch base on is I myself am the Salvation Army Service Unit, and we also just finished up Kettle Campaign. The men's club, as sure as you know, for the first 3 Saturdays in December went out and were posted at the post office, Coffee Bean, and Dunkin' Donuts. And I just actually did a final deposit, and we averaged about $1,500 for those 3 Saturdays. So I think that in itself, that all comes back to Upton. So we have an Upton's Other Needs Fund that is basically for those that are in need, excuse me, that may be going through a financial hardship. So it's not necessarily anybody that could be low income, it could be for elderly, disabled, it's basically anybody that has some kind of crisis. So we've actually been able to utilize that within the last month. So again, to the men's club, that was all they're doing. So also too, for the Bloomer Girls, they did their Thanksgiving and Christmas baskets. We helped about 24 residents between the 2 holidays and continuing. It's not Christmas yet. Also, the St. Gabriel's also did a giving tray. So I've been able to build a relationship with both the Bloomer Girls and St. Gabriel's, and we kind of, I don't want to say that basically they've kind of been entrusted me and they trust my judgment for those that are in need, and I can bring forth those names and some of the needs of those individuals that they can meet those, especially during the holidays. So those are the big things, and those are some of the accomplishments that we've had, I want to say just within the last few weeks. But it has been a very busy year. I want to say that I've been doing my best on tallying my telephone calls. I'm also a SHINE certified, so we just ended Medicare open enrollment. Thank goodness it's over. But I want to say within, for just this year, I've helped over 337 people with those appointments. So we're very fortunate that I'm there Monday through Friday. So we do have the SHINE regional office, which is in the Milford Senior Center, but that's on a volunteer basis. So just having people come in through the door, I do my best to have people make appointments because I'm not always available. But we had about 57 walk-ins, so that where I made those appointments, and just for this past year, I did over 313 appointments, whether it be for SNAP, which is averages about 51 appointments this year, and SMOC, we're also in the fuel assistance for, which SMOC is the South Middlesex Opportunity Council. So they do LIHEAP, so they do the fuel assistance. And for just this year, I've helped over 53 people. And that's not including the Good Neighbor Energy Fund as well. And also we have a kind of an account with CK Superior Smith for those who may not qualify for some of these. Again, it's just for low income. They have income guidelines for these programs, but we've been doing our best. We actually just approved for somebody to fill their tank to pay off some of their debt going into the new year. So those are the good days when you call somebody and you give them the good news that you just paid off their debt to CK Superior Smith, and they're crying over the phone, and then they show up at your door and give you a hug. So that's a good day at the office. But just between the appointments and the phone calls, we've been pretty busy. I average about, I think I did over 1,250 phone calls this year. I'm doing my best to tally that, so that's just an average. But yeah, kind of in a nutshell.
What is SNAP and SHINE?
SNAP?
Yep.
SNAP is food stamps, formerly it's a Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program.
Yes.
And SHINE is serving health individual needs of everyone. So basically for somebody who may be eligible for Medicare, if they're deemed disabled for 24 months, they're eligible for Medicare. It's also to work with supplements, whether it be Blue Cross Blue Shield, down. It is a state program, is SHINE, but actually it's called SHIP. It's a nationwide program, but just in Massachusetts referred to as SHINE, which I'm certified for and I have to go every year.
Got it. And that's helping ensure seniors take advantage of the benefits that they're entitled to and make sure they've got the right health care set up.
And it's a very nerve-wracking thing because I'm sure, as you kind of know, having an employee group health plan, every year you have to kind of plan your health insurance for that next coming year. And so medications changes, and especially what we're seeing down in DC of what's going on with prescriptions and cost of medications. We've been able to utilize some of our town resources to help individuals pay for some of those prescriptions, not necessarily paying for them, but maybe a gift card to CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, things of that nature. Because we have this wonderful thing called a donut hole, and it scares people, especially for those on a fixed income, where they're looking to pay 37% of a retail cost of a prescription drug. So I'm very fortunate enough that, again, Ed over at the regional office, he's always there for a phone call or anything like that. It's a lot of different resources. I think people kind of don't necessarily know that they're there until they're already in it and need them. So a lot of the times I did a Medicare presentation, and actually we had a pretty good turnout. I had about 20 people, 17 to 20 people come, and it was a very, very general Medicare, because a lot of people, when you turn 65, it's, oh my gosh, I gotta kind of figure this thing out. And a lot of people, it's, I've been very fortunate enough that, I have that certification that I'm available in those hours, and I do make myself available in the evening, because we do have working seniors or people that are looking for Medicare age that are working. So I've been fortunate enough that we've been able to collaborate to kind of make it work for those individuals as well. Especially, and Medicare is not just for individuals that are over the age of 65. You have people who are disabled, you have people that whose spouses may be turning 65, but they're also caring for a parent or a family member. Not necessarily in Upton, but they come because they don't know where else to go. So, and also too, some of the other things too, when we're working for, mandated reporting and working with Tri-Valley Elder Services and Protective Services, because it's just one of those things. So you never know what we're going to do. We're Monday through Friday, 9 to 3:30, but doesn't necessarily stop at that time.
Yeah, I know I was impressed when I saw you working with the police chief and the town manager and the fire chief on the day of the tornado, the day after the tornado, trying to make sure that people had the housing they needed and the support that they needed, and connecting them with services and with Red Cross and all that. So that was commendable. You guys do awesome work, as you know. So thank you.
We're very fortunate that we have some great resources that are available in Upton, and there's a lot of resources that aren't necessarily available. And also too, as well, not to toot our own horn, but any other town also comparable to my position is not necessarily a full-time position. A lot of them are grant funded, and they depend on other agencies to fill that need. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of people fall through the cracks.
No, that's great. And having the Ellerstein Welfare Fund in town, I think, helps a lot in connecting people with those funds, and people that need that help to those funds is important too. So thank you for that.
I was just going to say, you had mentioned earlier about the different programs that you've rolled out and introduced over the past few years. Is there any one that stands out that you'd be most proud of? I know it's a tough question.
Well, I do Zengevity.
They don't know what Zengevity is.
Using movement, laughter. This is kind of, I guess, one of the fun parts of my job. That's kind of a little bit more laid back. I had a wonderful group of women, probably about 10 women. I did take a break for the winter months because Medicare. Between Medicare, open enrollment, fuel assistance, I couldn't see straight. So Zengevity, it's basically a group of women, movement, laughter, and it was basically a place where they could kind of come together and kind of talk about some of the things that were going on. It was a lot of Elvis Presley that was playing, but like music, and it was a place kind of, I wouldn't necessarily call it a support group, but it was kind of like that. Because as Jan mentioned, social isolation, they actually say that 24 hours of not speaking to another human being is equivalent to a pack of cigarettes a day.
Gotta do that.
So, and that is a formal training program that Jessica went through.
Okay,
too.
no,
It wasn't just she decided to go in and play Elvis.
No, yes, I did get trained on
Everything
I'm
that we
certified
do.
is-
Yeah, we're working on becoming a dementia friendly community. You might have seen that within the state. That's one of the things we're working on. There's a healthy aging movement within the state, so there's all those things that I'm working on. I'd say those are my two proudest things that I personally am doing.
What does it, I'm sorry to interrupt, what does it mean to be a dementia
Friendly?
community?
So we partner with a community agency. So there's one of the home care agencies that I'm looking to partner with, and we provide training within the community, say the banks, the library, wherever, so that when somebody goes in and they have dementia, they know how to speak to them and how to address them, so that you're kind of meeting them where they are. You know, we see it a lot of times. People come in with their kids, and we don't do it, but we've seen other people do it. They'll start talking to their kids and not totally ignore the senior, like the senior doesn't have any weird thought about them, and it's like, talk to me, you're talking about me. Dementia, they still have capacity, a lot of them, in certain ways. So we meet them where they are, I guess is the easiest way to put it. So yeah, you're gonna be hearing all about this.
Great.
And actually just got passed by the governor.
Yep.
Trying to make Massachusetts a friendly, dementia-friendly state.
Yep, so and we're part of it.
Great. Good.
Yes, we are.
So I think a lot of people don't know how much you guys actually do and how much you offer, being where you're located, and everybody
We are
thinks.
here for the town, yes.
Yeah, and I didn't know that until a couple years ago. I didn't realize you did so much. So thank you for everything that you do.
And how busy the senior center is.
Yes, it is.
You know, how many nights there's activities going on there is always a surprise. So, very good.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thanks.
No, thank you. Anything else, girls?
No.
Women? Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Already, right?
So we're going on to these other ones?
Yeah, we're gonna do,
You can sit in here.
we're gonna do 7.7.
You can go.
I'll share you one.
Thank you.
We'll jump up to 7.7. I believe the senior work-off policy was presented to you, from you.
Yeah, well, so, several of us have been working on this policy. Kelly, myself, Derek, Tracy from the Board of Assessors as well. And this is what we have come up with for seniors that are 60 and older, that are living in the town of Upton, primary residents, are eligible to work under this program. There's now let's see, November 13th, special town meeting. The voters voted for the veterans portion of the tax work-off program. So we're now offering that. Program runs from the first Saturday in November and ends October 31st, around there. For seniors, they can earn up to $1,500 per household that goes towards their property tax. For veterans, it's $1,000. It's a great opportunity for people in town to get involved in the different departments, as well as to get some much-needed assistance with their property taxes. So there's the eligibility guidelines that are listed in the new revised policy, the application process. Things are going to be on the town website so that folks can go right on there. There's a whole process. I don't know how much of this do you want me to get into, or?
No, we just got the policy, so I don't think we're gonna we just got the policy this evening. So
Yeah,
we're not
that
planning on
was-
voting on it.
Okay.
The only thing I have heard concerns throughout the community is if you put your house in a trust, that you were able to still take advantage of this tax thing. So we need to make sure we figure out how
Yeah,
to work
that's
that.
one of the things that we're exploring to make sure that we're.
We were able to, with Bill and Kelly's help and a few other Tracy's, we did some research and we looked at some state guidelines relative to trust. And so what we came up with, we thought was a way to ensure that those folks that have still living in their home, still paying the taxes in their home, which they formerly owned, but the home is now within a trust. We have a clause on page 2 of the document that allows for folks that are trustees, a beneficiary of trust, or responsible for the taxes as written in the trust agreement, would be allowed to take advantage of this program.
Okay, one thing I would like folks to know is the program is running. We just need a clarification on that. So if they're interested in participating, they just need to call me at the senior center and I'll walk them through what they need to do.
The applications are also available online.
Again, we can advertise that for you.
Yeah, I think another big highlight of this policy, which is different, is that through Janice's effort every year, she's going to work with all the departments and the boards and committees so that they generate a list of needs and services. And then that list of needs and services would be utilized to identify those folks that fit those needs best. So, there may be some in the community that may be in a formal grant writer, for example, and if we determine that 20 hours of grant writing is needed, then we can match that expertise with the need of the town. So that's something that's new to this program. I know they've done it more informally in the past, but this is something that a more formal
Yes.
process we follow moving forward.
Did you know, is that edit already in there, what we just
That's
discussed?
it.
The trust is in here, the top of page 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you need enough time to read it, or just?
I just read
I
through
do,
it, just
the
2
other
pages.
question, yeah, the other question I think that we had actually discussed at one point was someone that may be a veteran and a senior. So the maximum that one can earn is capped at $1,500.
Well, that is for the senior part. So if they were a senior and eligible, I would probably have them go for the senior as opposed to the veterans
You can't do
tax work off so they can max the 1,500.
You can't combine them.
No, they can't do
The
it.
maximum household is 1,500.
Right.
So however you want to cut that, and you
Yeah.
can, but the maximum is 1,500 per household.
And who participated in putting all of this together? It sounded like there were a lot of folks
Oh,
involved.
there was, Karen Barney was involved in this,
Yes.
Kelly was involved in this, Tracy, Derek,
Bill,
Bill,
Sandy.
Sandy. I mean, it was a very group effort that,
And everybody's good with it?
yeah.
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
Busted many man hours.
I trust the judgment of that wonderful group of people. And I just read it, and it looks appropriate, and it looks appropriate to me.
Well, we know it's at the 11th hour, so we want to make sure that
Yeah.
the court had a chance to consume it before they
Yeah.
take the formal vote.
If it was all 20 pages, that would have been different, but there's mostly just forms in here that people have to fill out, the
Correct.
application, the
Yeah.
confidentiality, the ethics training, the consent, and all of that. So this is just a couple pages, so I'm
And
good.
it'll be coordinated through your department.
Yes, through
So
me.
people, right, and you'll have a list of work that is available.
Yeah.
So again, this may, even people that haven't participated in the past, if the work is actually in front of them and they can see it, it may encourage them to participate. More people take advantage of it. So-
Right, right, and, yeah, we would love to have more people
Yes.
participate in this
And-
program.
And just to be clear for folks, so that it's clear for everybody that's listening, watching, and here, and you can spread the word, anybody that's 60 years or older, or a veteran, can work off money, work for the town in exchange for an abatement of their taxes. So they can a senior can reduce their taxes by $1,500 per year. Any veteran of any age can reduce their taxes of up to $1,000 a year by coordinating with the Council on Aging and the Social Services Group to find work to do for the town. So
Right. And they
it's a
have
really
to have
great,
been
really
living
great
in the
benefit.
property 1 year.
You have to have been in the, Upton residents obviously only, and you have to have been in the property for 1 year.
1 year.
So that's a wonderful, wonderful gift from the town.
It
That's
is.
for this article we're discussing. This is for the one we're going to discuss right now.
No, that's, no.
This is for-
That's for 7.10.
Oh,
Okay. Did you want to make a motion?
Yes, so I make a motion that we approve the policy on senior and veterans property tax work-off abatement that was approved by the town manager on December 18th, 2018.
Second motion.
That's unanimous action. And then next, I'm going to jump right up to 7.9. Mrs. Nowicki is requesting the board to accept a generous donation from Dorothy Emna, in appreciation for her support given to them by the COA. Dorothy just celebrated her 100th birthday. Happy birthday. And she would like to donate $200 to the Council on Aging.
Excellent. Very generous of her.
Somebody want to make a
So
motion to accept?
I'll make a motion that we approve the donation made by Dorothy Amino in the amount of $200 for the Council of Aging.
And I second that, and a warm thank you to her for her contribution. That's wonderfully generous.
That's unanimous action. Tell her happy
Congratulations on turning 100.
And happy birthday. Yeah, that's awesome. Very
That's a
cool.
milestone.
Thank you.
Good.
That,
You don't need to be it. It's gonna be a name change.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job. Thank you for everything. Good holiday.
yeah. So next on the agenda is 7.1. This is our annual renewable licenses. We'll kick Steve out for the first set,
Okay.
and then we'll bring him back for the rest.
All right, so folks at home, I have to recuse myself. Used car dealers licenses will be discussed for renewal.
All right, so what do you want to do?
Can I make a motion to read everything?
Right, but I can make one motion and read all these names, right?
Yes.
And are we,
Just renewing their class too.
yeah, for all these ones here? Yeah, my question is on the restaurant one. Are we going to do that? We'll do
That'll
that
be
separate.
bring Steve back.
Okay, we're just doing the class 2 stuff.
Yes.
So I make a motion that we approve the license renewals for the following businesses: Gasco Wheels, Lakeside Machine, Master Collision, Metellian Motors, McHugh Sales, MGM Auto, Matuzis Automotive, NALA Equipment Corporation, Patrick Davidson, Upton Truck and Auto, Upton Foreign Auto Service, Upton Getty, Wilson Tire and Auto, and Alantes Inc. DBA Western Motors.
I'll second that. That's majority action. Steve.
And just so folks know, those are class 2s, which are licenses for people to sell vehicles in town. So this is just license renewals that we're doing to sell used cars in town. So class 2 is a license that you need to sell used cars in Upton. This is an annual license renewal. Got it.
Did I make it through unscathed?
You got your license again.
Hold my license?
Next is the renewal of liquor license. Would you like to make the motion, or do you want to make the motion?
I'm
This has on the liquor
well,
license?
yeah, I was going to go through everything but the Rose Garden.
Okay.
Okay,
And just approve all those, and then we can talk about the Rose Garden.
okay.
Okay. So I make a motion that we approve the following liquor license renewals: Country Club Super, Haney Inc. doing business as Colonial Liquor, Auto Amusement Coin Op, Liquor Plus, Nipmuc Rod and Gun Club, Red Rock Grill and Bar, and KB Holdings.
Second motion?
Unanimous action.
And then should we do the common victualler, and then we'll go back to Rose Garden.
Okay, sure.
So I make a motion that we approve the following license renewals for common victualler. What is that?
You did good.
What does that even mean?
Oh, gosh.
Hey, that's my question.
Does anybody know?
Victuals is food.
Yeah.
And we're assuming that somebody who
Like
sells
food sales, or it's for restaurants. I don't know why they don't just call it common restaurants. Okay, so this is the restaurant renewal list. Main Street Pizza, CNN Food Service, which is Dunkin' Donuts, Dick Kelly's Farm Stand, Honey Farms, JJ's Vegetarian, Kevin Lou, which is the Jade Garden, SBD, which is the Little Coffee Bean, Upton House of Pizza, BVT, Gasco Energy, the VFW, and Breakfast at Stephanie's.
Second the motion?
That's unanimous action. And then we're going to go back to the Rose Garden. There's a couple issues with some checks, so we're just going to make a motion.
Yeah, do you want to make that one? Do you remember what it was?
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
I can do it if you want.
Make a motion that we approve liquor license for the Rose Garden, which is KCLC Inc., pursuant to some funds that need to clear town.
Yeah, I think, do all of the license, the auto, the pool table, and entertainment.
Okay.
Include all that in there.
All right, so also the all alcohol license, the common vicular license, the auto amusement coin-op license for the pool table, and the entertainment license.
Contingent on all. Contingent on
Yeah.
Right, the open check clearing that they made for taxes. So as long as that clears, then we approve this. Yeah, I second that motion.
unanimous action. Next, we have an appointment to the IT committee. Is Chris with us? Yeah. Good evening, Chris. Come forward, please, sir. Sure. So, Chris has submitted a application to be on our IT committee. Chris has been a resident for about 3 years in town. He has about 10 years in the IT industry. Can you just introduce yourself for the record?
Yep, I'm Chris Kukos, Upton resident for about 3 years, a little over 3 years.
You looking to get on the IT committee?
Yeah, I have a pretty good background, and I feel like I could provide some guidance where applicable.
I'm just kind of curious, what kind of IT work do you do?
Right now, I'm an IT manager for a biotech firm in Cambridge.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, thanks for volunteering and being willing. How did you find out about it?
My neighbor Brad had found out about it and wanted me to help join.
Cool. What's Brad's last name?
Phyllis?
Good.
I was going to say, he volunteered you for the job?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, no,
Welcome to town. Come
Yeah,
help
we
us
both
out.
have different varying skill sets, so I think it would be a good
It's great.
dual addition.
Yeah.
Very good. And you have attended a few of the meetings?
Yes.
As up to now.
Well, you've gotten rave reviews from the people at the meeting, so
Oh, good.
congratulations. You're well regarded.
Good.
Very good. Make a motion that we appoint Christopher Kukos to the Technology Committee.
I second that.
It's unanimous action. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for helping out.
Thank you for getting involved.
Yeah.
The next agenda item is 7.3. It is a request from the members of the Council on COA/Library Feasibility Committee to change their name to the Community Center Feasibility Committee. Is there anybody present from the Council on Aging? Mr. Dill?
Yeah, so we unfortunately didn't think that the title Joint Feasibility Committee really described well what we're involved in, and thought Community Center Feasibility Committee made more sense, and if the board is interested, it might make even more sense if we call it the Municipal Community Center Feasibility Committee, because that way when people read our minutes and so on and so forth, they'll know exactly what we're involved in.
My only concern, do you think it's going to cause any confusion? I mean, it seemed like we kind of had a little bit of a roll going. People kind of understand that these two departments really are about 80 to 90% of the makeup of what we're trying to achieve here. That's my only concern, is I'm thinking it's going to cast a little confusion. Where this has already been, this committee's already been operating under this guise the last 6 months, let's just say. Probably a little shorter than that, 5 months perhaps. Do you think it'll cause any confusion?
Probably for some people, certainly, because they've known us as the Joint Council on Aging Library Feasibility Committee, but right now I think technically the name is the Joint Feasibility Committee, and that certainly is confusing, I think, because it doesn't mention the fact that it's a community. It doesn't suggest that it's even a joint library COA facility. And I think the way that the committee is approaching it is that it is, I understand, I agree that it is primarily will be a facility that's houses the library and the Council on Aging, but we don't want to lose sight of the fact that we have other town departments that have asked for a space in the building. And so ultimately, I think it's going to be most illuminating and closest to what we're trying to do if we refer to it as a municipal community facility, community center.
And just by way of a couple of examples, right? Like today in the library, you've got the Historical Society as well as the local cable access studio is in there as well. So there's other considerations that may be involved with this naming. Do we know how long do we expect this committee to be operating? So I'm just right if because they've been in this for 6 months or so, but I think they're going to operate.
Right, I mean, they're in the process of issuing an RFQ to get an architect on board to do conceptual designs.
Yeah.
I mean, the hope would be that we would have some community buy-in and conceptual designs that we could take to town meeting in May.
Yeah.
That's aggressive, but certainly I would see them together, if not May, at least through November.
Yeah, and the committee all agreed that they would like to pursue this naming change.
Yep.
And do you support it, Derek, from your perspective?
To me, it names the name. It's more the charge of the committee.
Yeah.
That's pretty well defined. So, I mean, the charge
Yeah.
of the committee basically says what they're doing.
Okay.
You call it whatever.
I mean, I agree. I think if an organization of people feels like there's a better name, then why would we not make it what they think is appropriate? So they can
Just
feel
out of
good.
curiosity, what was the vote?
Well, we didn't actually end up voting on this, but the consensus was everybody in the group thought this was good.
Okay, so I make a motion that we rename the Joint Feasibility Committee to the Municipal Community Center Feasibility Committee.
Thank you.
Second the motion.
It's unanimous action. Our next discussion item is to appoint a committee to discuss electronic voting. Mr. Moderator's not here. We've talked about this topic multiple times over the past few months, and I missed the last meeting. I came in late, so I don't know what actually occurred, but I think we agreed upon creating a committee. So tonight we're just going to form a committee and advertise it.
I think the only question we had was, right, we have to discuss the number of seats. I think we all know that we talked about forming the committee, so I don't think that's anything new. It's just the number of seats we have to talk about, right?
Right, I think the number of seats, and I think the mission statement's pretty clear.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have to really talk about that.
So I'll throw the number 5 to 7, 5, or do you guys want to go higher?
I was thinking 7, just to give, try to invite more people to weigh in, maybe get a little better cross-section of what people think.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we can get 7, that's great. 3 is, in my mind, definitely not enough. I think 5 is good, 7 is fine. If we can, my only concern with 7 is can we get 7 people that are interested, but if we can, then I'm all for it. So, whatever you guys think.
Good with 7. And then the other thing I would discuss is the town moderator. Do we just put in?
Well, and like representation too, right? Because sometimes we do like certain number from different boards or different commissions, right? So like in this case, do we want to have the town moderator or give him the option of participating? Do we want to have somebody from finance committee or someone from any other committees or anything?
We got Kelly's organization with
technology committee, something like that.
I would think where there's not a lot of dollars and cents involved in the decision. I don't think there is anyways.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, maybe someone from technology committee
So
would
town
fit in good.
tech committee, I love that. Yeah, I agree. And then town moderator is optional if he wants to. I mean, if he doesn't want to, clearly that's his choice. But we should
offer it to him.
We should definitely offer it. I think it
Would
would
you
be
want to
great to have
invite
it.
the capital budget committee? I mean, this, depending on which direction the group goes, could be a capital budget acquisition, depending on cost.
Yeah.
So it's a group they may want to judge as well.
Right, so we could, I guess the question is, do we want to make that mandatory or do we want to make that?
We can do it anyway.
Yeah.
Do it by invite?
Yeah. Anyone else explicitly that we should invite?
Anybody on your committee, Kel?
Or Kelly, do you want to be on it? Or I don't know how that works. You
On
have
the
to apply.
technology committee?
No,
Oh, you're-
with the election stuff.
This is the electronic voting committee.
No, because it wouldn't be necessarily the election, it's town meeting, so it's a
Yeah,
little
so
bit
that's
different.
different. Okay.
I would highly recommend that the moderator, if, I would almost recommend the moderator, maybe himself, or even a representative, or he appoints somebody or recommends somebody if he can't do it himself. Because I think he's, you know, he runs the town meeting, so
Yeah.
his viewpoint or his designee would be critical.
And I think the last time we discussed this, I think he was on board with wanting to serve on the committee.
Okay, then let's
No,
just do that.
I-
Yeah, so maybe we say either him or an
Or his
appointee or a
designate.
designate.
Yeah.
So do we do
That sounds
7 plus technology and moderator, or do we do?
I would think the 7 includes,
Okay.
Yeah,
For sure.
that sounds good, 7 including.
yeah.
Technology.
As we know, there probably are gonna be at least a couple of other people
Moderator.
interested.
And
so-
then if somebody from Capital wants to get in, we can have them apply normally.
Okay, technology and maybe someone from,
Yeah.
or by invite,
Yeah.
capital budget.
And do we want to put a deadline? Do we want them done by a certain time? Do we want them done by?
Well, we
March
should
or
have the,
April?
I mean, how quick, I think we would love to have them done by,
For Maytown meeting.
for May town meeting, but that's probably pretty aggressive, but.
Yeah, I mean, we can advertise it tomorrow, so we
Yeah.
can get the message out on the website, on social media, send out invites, personal
Yeah.
invites. So I guess my question to you is, once you drop dead, when you want to form this committee, because say you only get 5 applicants.
That's what I mean.
You don't want to slow this down because you're waiting for 2
How
more.
about we want to form it by January or next town, or
So
next.
your next meeting is January 15th, and
Yeah.
the meeting thereafter is February 1st.
So let's do it by January 15th.
Yeah, I would say by January 15th, you would think.
Yeah, and anybody that's out there that knows that people that might be interested in serving on this committee, spread the word, let us know, get them to apply, so that by January 15th, we'll know because if we just make it, we can appoint 5 people at that point, if we only have 5 people
I've gotten 2 inquiries of interest.
already. Okay, so,
And their goal is to come back to the Board of Selectmen to make a recommendation as to
on the use of electronic voting,
use of electronic
and
and how that should be implemented.
that's right, 5 versus rent.
And obviously cost.
Yeah, and do we want to give them a drop dead, like a due date? Like, do you want to say they need everything done by April 1st, or do we want to get them formed and see how it goes?
I was gonna, yeah, I always struggle to put a hard date on volunteers that we
Yeah.
haven't yet identified.
And to be honest with you, if you're not going to appoint the committee to January 15th, unless they're going to be meeting on a regular
Yeah, a
basis,
weekly
like
basis.
weekly basis,
Yeah.
it's going to be really challenging.
Right,
to
they'll
because
probably
remember-
meet once a month.
Right, the warrant has to be executed by April 1st.
Right, so we won't know by then.
Right, so it's giving them 2 months to try to put this together.
I just want to make sure we give them tangible.
Right.
measurables.
We can
Yeah.
of course see how it's progressing, and if it's
Exactly.
moving along quickly, maybe they'll be ready to make
That's
a
right,
recommendation, but.
I would
we don't
say,
rely
like,
on this,
yeah, we set it up with the expectations that sooner is better. If you can have something by May, for the May town meeting, then that's fantastic, but we want them to do their work well.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion to form the committee, or we just wait till January?
So we should.
I think you should make a motion that you want to create.
To advertise the committee.
All right, so I'll make a motion to appoint a committee to explore the possibility of electronic voting. The board will be composed of 7 members. Someone by invite, someone from the technology committee, someone from the capital committee, and the moderator or a designee of the moderator, with a total of 7 members.
Second that motion?
It's unanimous action. Our next agenda item is to discuss appointment of a DPW Facility Feasibility Committee. At the special town meeting in November, the voters approved $12.5 thousand for a new design options for upgraded public work facility. Tonight, the board is going to consider forming a committee of citizens to recommend the best ways to move forward. So, as with the other one, we need to figure out how many guys on this committee, or girls, and then when do we want to form it by?
Yes. I mean, again, I think 7 is a lot for these committees, so I would advocate for 5. I think on this one, we definitely want somebody from capital budget.
Definitely, yes.
And I'd say we have the DPW director as an ad hoc, or would you-
Generally, the public works director would attend the meetings and act as a tool for the benefit and the support of the committee. Generally, I wouldn't see the public works director sit on the
Okay.
committee.
Yeah.
And I would think on this committee, it may be helpful to have someone from FinCom as well,
I think, yes.
you know, where there's
Yeah.
cubic dollars involved here. So,
What, who else, I mean, this is not an uncommon type of committee, so who else from your perspective, Derek, would we sort of typically?
I think it may be good to advertise to the community folks with specific technical expertise. So individuals who may have an engineering background,
Yeah.
public works background.
Yeah.
I mean, not because that's, I think
Right.
we have a wealth of
Right. We have
brain power in this
right.
community. I think we should try to.
Right. Commercial development experts, people with engineering backgrounds, public works backgrounds.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. This is something that's pretty technical in nature.
Right.
Yeah. Any input, Dennis, beyond that?
Do you want to stick to 5 on this one? I don't know about getting 7 for this committee.
Yeah, I think 5 is. I'd be glad if we can get 5. And at least one from FinCom and one from Capital Budget, right?
Or offered to them.
Offered to me, yes.
So then you're down to 3 citizens.
Yeah, that's okay.
You good with that, Sue?
yes.
So, and do we want to, what do you want our date to have everybody's application about? January 15th too, or do you want to
Yeah,
extend
we'll
it?
try it and see. We can always change our minds.
I think we should maybe kick this one out a little bit further. Just, if we'll be meeting the 18th and meeting again on the 25th.
We meet January 15th and then February 1st.
Let's see what happens. If we have a bunch by
Yeah.
the 15th, if not, we'll just push it out to February.
Yeah,
There's just a lot of, I wouldn't expect over the holidays, wouldn't
So many
expect to
people,
get that many applications, that many
Exactly.
people looking to volunteer for 2 different committees. Now we're looking for
I
12.
mean, I could go either way, whatever you guys are happy.
Yeah, well, why don't we spread the word and see what we get, and if we need to push it out, we'll push it out. I mean, I don't think we're gonna rush to form the committees if we don't have enough applicants. Right, but if we don't have enough people, we can't do it, so we'll
We'll
just.
see how the agenda is on the 15th.
Yeah.
If we don't have anybody, we'll just push it out. On the
Okay.
agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long night, January 15th. So budget presentation and budget hearings.
Oh, we're gonna start
January
talking. I was gonna say.
You first.
That's why, that's why I was thinking. kick this one out.
Yeah.
Maybe make this one the February 1st.
Well, we reserve the right to change the dates of these committee formations. How's that?
All right. Do you want to make this recommendation?
Oh, sure. So I make a motion that we form a DPW facility review committee consisting of 5 members and offering membership to the Finance Committee or representation to the Finance Committee and also to the Capital Budget Committee as well.
Second motion?
That's unanimous action. Our next agenda item is to discuss opening the warrant for the annual town meeting, which will be held on May 3rd, 2015.
And just sorry, just to go back for a second, just to be clear, we'll put those qualifications in the advertisement as well. So with having some public work experience, some engineering experience, some commercial building experience, those kinds of things.
So,
So, Mr. Town Manager, do you want to say anything about the annual warrant?
Well, only that if the board votes to open it on February 1st, and so from this time to February 1st is, and again, it's to be very clear to the public that this is their opportunity through citizens petitions if folks feel strongly about something. This is their 6-week window to file a citizen's petition so that we would place that on the warrant. We will certainly notify our boards and committees and our departments that the warrant's not open, and that again, it's their opportunity to file for articles as well. So this is a little bit, I think we moved it up a few weeks in previous years, because we know from prior experience, there's a lot of work to do. Once the warrant closes, capital budget has to review capital articles, finance committee has to review all financial articles, and then those recommendations will go to the board. So, if we can close this by February 1st and then move through that process, I think it'll make the process easier over time.
Any questions for the town manager?
Nope.
Any questions, Steve?
well, I just don't like the closing February 1st and the meeting is until May. It just seems like there's an awful lot of time there.
Well, because the reason in the budget schedule that I sent out, in the month of May, Finance Committee and Capital Budget will review those articles. So there's a lot of financial articles beyond the budget that will come out of that as you can remember, all the financial items we discussed with fall town meeting. So that gives them 30 days to review those. That gives them 30 days to provide a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen, whether or not they support any capital investments and whether or not they support any financial articles. And that gives us all collectively 30 days for the month of March to go through all the articles, go through the finalized budget, because remember, we're going to be working with draft budgets in January with the school department and then into February as well. So we can finalize our articles and our budgets come the month of March. We have to execute the warrant by April 1st.
And so it doesn't mean that we have to consider all the warrant articles that are in there February 1st. It just means that we can't add any new ones after February 1st. But we can still refine and make decisions about what actually ends up going to town meeting.
That's
so
right.
we would err on the side of including more articles in the warrant for February 1st, and if we need to shave it down because we get new information or we look at the budget and we don't have the money to do something or we don't think we have the money, then we as a Board of Selectmen can pull those out.
So it gives us more time to.
Gives you more time to decide what.
Right.
So basically, we pull the dates forward. Everything.
Right, right, but now you have all of February, all of March, all of April, where you can't add a warrant article. That's the only, my own concern, it just seems that we have a lot of.
April, I agree, because the warrant must be executed April 1st, because we have to post it for town meeting. So
When is it closed in the past? So we're going to February 1st. What was it last year?
Probably February 15th.
February 15th. So we're talking about moving it up 2 weeks.
Right.
I mean, I think everybody knows what they want.
I don't know.
Bill?
Yeah, I have a question. I can see myself in a couple of the committees that I'm working on not having final numbers for a warrant article as of February 1. I would probably have a pretty good idea of what the article might look like, but in the past I know we've talked about placeholders.
Right.
Will that option be available?
Right. Yeah, placeholders are always an option.
Would you prefer the 15th?
Well, I myself would prefer the 15th, but that's up to you gentlemen. I just feel like we're closed for a long time. You lose the next 2 weeks, you pretty much lose. So that you're, the next, because of the holiday season, you're out the next 2 weeks. So now you're really looking at the month of January to put together your warrant. It just seems a little early.
So just go over again the pros and the cons, right? Because this is one of those where, from my personal perspective, like, we've got experts that this is their career, this is their livelihood, this is what they do, and we're a volunteer board and we want to support the experts in this space. But again, this is my perspective. So tell me again what the benefits and risks are of doing
Yeah,
this.
so I'll give you just my experience in Plymouth. The warrant will close in mid-December 15th.
Yeah.
And so, for my personal liking, closing in February 1st is really far out there. But, this is a May town meeting, so did you have a comment?
Yeah, when you're done, I'd like to make a comment.
Okay. So when I look at what we went through the fall town meeting, we were rushed to try, because we kept the warrant open so long that when you think about it, I forget when the warrant closed, but we had less than 6 weeks to get through all the articles, Finance Committee, Capital Budget, and the Board of Selectmen hold multiple meetings, and then execute that warrant.
Yeah.
So, and that was from closing to getting to town meeting. So this gives us more time to really understand the articles, have proper consideration for those articles, and then deliberate on those.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I would just add, I think that gives us the best chance to run an effective town meeting, which is really important for a new board to be able to do. So that all makes sense to me, but go ahead.
I would just say that when we think about the warrant is open for really two purposes. One, so the community at large can go through a citizen's petition and file for articles. So, this would give them the better part of 6 weeks to do that. The boards and committees and departments, in my opinion, this is what they do. They should already know what articles they need for May town meeting. And quite frankly, if they're not prepared for May town meeting, they're just going to have to delay that to November. So you should never wait for the warrant to be open to prepare for your business.
As a department, right?
Right. So we know this happens twice a year. So I've already been talking about articles. We had a meeting today at staff. We've talked about articles that we need to submit for May town meeting. And so I don't think that keeping it open an extra 2 weeks for town staff will yield any benefit. It would only yield a little bit of benefit for the community that gives them an extra 2 weeks. But outside of town staff, it should not yield any benefit.
Let me ask one second. Derek, with the, we have our first budget hearing January 15th, right? Are we doing all the departments that night, or are we gonna do some in February too?
We're gonna do some on February 1st.
So after our hearings, could they come up with warrant ideas after that, do you think?
So the budget itself is just a focus, the budget hearing is just a focus on the operating budget. So the salary, the training,
No, I was thinking capital or something.
Right, so they should know.
I suppose at that point, would they have the ability to at least tip their hand as to what they may be asking for in a warrant article?
Oh, yeah, you will, the warrant, yeah, you would absolutely know by February 1st what articles they are requesting for capital and everything else.
No,
It's
okay.
giving you more time to deliberate on that.
Right. No, but at the budget presentation, I think what Gary was saying is, at the budget presentation, will we be tipped off as to what we'll be asking for as far as warrant articles?
If folks have items that they capital need, yeah, they should know by that. You could certainly ask that question. I mean, once I start opening, I start building a draft warrant. So starting tomorrow, if I get articles, I can tell you tomorrow what departments have submitted for articles and what they're thinking. You know, but again, the articles are more than just capital. Yeah, you know, how many bylaws or policies did we change at the last town meeting? We did a lot of kind of editing of old documents, right, at this last town meeting. So it's not just financial nature, it's a lot of, you know, good business practice.
Right. We pay bills in some respects. Some of the articles are just paying bills.
Right.
So the comment that I would like to make, reflecting on last year, we needed to go to print sooner because now that we have our town election after town meeting, we wanted the public to have more of an opportunity. They can't pick up the FinCom report like they've done every other year in the past. So last year, we were really under the gun to get that printed in order to make it public, to give people the opportunity to review it before the town meeting. And we're gonna be under the same situation this year. By closing it and getting everything ready by April 2nd, we have time to print it and get it out there for everyone to view and on the website. So it gives the public a month to review it.
So the town manager and the town clerk agree that we should, with the recommendation of February 1st as our closing of the town warrant?
Yes.
Okay. So we can vote accordingly, but I'm going to make a motion that we open the warrant and close today, or tomorrow we would do that.
But open to tomorrow.
Open tomorrow and then close it on February 1st, 2019.
I'll second the motion.
And I'll make that unanimous action.
And just as a disclaimer, if there was a burning need, something came up, I think to your point, Steve, the board could always reopen it, just a small window, so a week. Like if we went to a special town meeting, that's what we would do. We'd open up the warrant for a week, we'd accept the town meeting articles, and then we move right to a town meeting. So if there was so this February 5th doesn't close the door permanently, it just kind of keeps it slightly ajar. So we know
It gives us more time, which is good. And the only downside to your point is a citizen's petition. But I mean, I'll say right now, if there are citizens out there that are thinking of putting a warrant on the article and going for a citizen's petition and February 1st is holding you back, tell us. And we'll make sure that we make whatever accommodation we need to get that petition, to give you time to get that petition done, or to just put the requested article on the warrant on your behalf. So those are both options. We certainly don't want to in any way discourage people from going through a public process at all. So let's make sure that doesn't happen.
Right. And I guess the only other hiccup we really had at the last was the funding source. That was the only issue we really had at the special.
This will give us more time to figure that
Make
stuff
sure
out.
that that doesn't happen.
Right, and even some of the articles that we were deliberating back and forth, where maybe if we had more time to think or reflect or get more input, we could have said, all right, you know, we don't have to decide on this tonight, let's wait another week. And
We could have interviewed certain people.
yeah, we could have interviewed certain people.
we were on such time crunch, we had to hold a meeting at 4 o'clock to execute the warrant, because that was the last possible day we could execute that warrant.
Thanks.
So we had to get to the post office.
I remember that discussion.
we're
So maybe
trying,
maybe we could have the
prevent
meeting at
all
7 o'clock at a normal meeting time, which would be great.
We'll still do the same thing this year.
Yeah.
We'll still be running the
You're killing me.
post office at 4 o'clock.
Hopefully not.
It's the nature of the
Book
beast.
stamps and zip car, go.
Our next agenda is to accept an easement for a water line off of West River Street. I'll turn this over to the DPW Director, Mr. Westgate.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
So as you're all familiar, I'm sure we have, the town owns an easement off of West River where our newest pump station in Wellfield exists. The gentleman who is on the current easement that you have before you granted the town that easement. Right after the culvert, he put a common driveway in through the planning board and erected 3 homes. Part of the agreement was that we would put a 6-inch water main in there because of the way the homes were constructed and the common driveway along with a hydrant. I just want to ensure protection for the town, that we have rights to that water main and that hydrant, and we can maintain it in perpetuity. And that is what the easement is for.
Perfect. And the $10, is that we pay them or he pays us?
That's a good question. There's a $10 fee?
Consideration of $10 paid here grants the town of Upton the grant of easement right in the first line of the
It
thing.
looks like he paid the $10 to the town of Upton. Did we get that $10?
I didn't.
They'll be in tomorrow. Make sure we get that.
Pursuant to.
I don't know if we owed him money or if he's paying us.
Either way, I'll pay the $10.
Oh, I get the easement too, it's fine.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And you have the accompanying survey, everything with this document is good in your opinion?
The meat and potatoes of the easement are written by town council between his attorney and our attorney. And it pretty much mirrors the previous easement that we had, just referencing a new map, new schematic with a set of plans that show the water main location, granting us a 20-foot easement, 10 feet on both sides of the main and going past the main 20 feet. So we have ample room to get our equipment in there if we have to do any work.
Very good.
And you've reviewed those detailed plans?
I have.
Great.
Make motion.
Okay. Make a motion to accept an easement for a water line off of West River Street.
Second motion?
It's unanimous action. And then when I got you here, just jump right to 7.11. This is to request an amendment to the current contract for the Hartford Ave, North Street, High Street, and Hopkinen Road tip project. Either one of you gentlemen would like to elaborate?
Thank you. So, as you're familiar, I'm sure, some time ago, the Hartford Ave water main project, I'm not going to talk about this, the water main project, tip, Transportation Improvement Program project, which extends from Route 140 all the way to the Hopkinton line, was split into 2 different projects. So we have a program date of 2019 and a program date of 2020. During that process, modifications were recommended by MassDOT through their Boston office. We did some changes to the signalization and the engineering for the stormwater at the intersection of Westboro and School, and it required some additional engineering services. So what you have before you is a conservative estimate from the consultant to continue us through the 100% completion of phase 1.
So the cost of $122,000.
And I'd like to speak a little further to that too.
Is that coming out of the TIP fund or is that coming out of the funding?
So we have a couple of different funding sources that we can utilize to assist us with this. First of all, when I say conservative, I don't like to come back and ask for more money. It's not in my nature. I like to make sure that we have enough authorization. And what I'm really requesting here is authorization, not necessarily $120,000. There is plenty in there to finish everything that they would need to. I think it will come in underneath that amount. Number 2, there is going to be revenues left over in our appraisal services article. We just completed our appraisal services. We had slated $105,000, and our bill appears to be in the 80s. So there's going to be some leftover revenue. In addition, our estimate is leaning towards conservatively that the $181,000 we put aside for purchasing all of the properties, the easements, temporary and permanent, is going to be on the high side, and we won't need that kind of money. So those 2 funding sources certainly would be utilized to offset that amount, which I believe will be underneath that amount as well. If we needed further funding, we always have the ability to use Chapter 90 if we needed to.
Now the money, that other project you had that came in 300,000 under? Will we use that money towards this?
No, that project is not closed out for two reasons. One is we retained, well, we have a large retainage on that, which we held for the contractor to come back in the spring and address that trench. That's a long, tough trench, and he's already had to come out there a couple of times and address it. But he has more paving to do because that's phase 2 of the tip. So that section of road where the Hartford Ave North Water Main project was done, that's got 2 more construction seasons to make it through with the residents driving up and down that road. So we left a good amount of retainage on the hook for that contractor to come back and make sure that that road stays up to snuff before we end up handing it over to MassDOT to do the tip. There is going to be a considerable amount of money left over based on the authorization from town meeting of 1.3 million. Our bid came in at 888,000, and we used a little over $106,000 for beta. The only hiccup that we ran into is a portion of our excavation that the contractor removed and stockpiled at the wastewater treatment plant, approximately 500 yards of material tested positive for asbestos, and will have to be hauled away through DEP regulations as solid hazardous waste, and that's going to cost us about $170,000. The money is there in the project, and we're still under.
The contractor didn't realize it was asbestos when he was taken out?
The problem is all of the pipe that was removed for the AC pipe for the water main was taken off-site. A third party was contracted to come in, document all that, create a paper trail. As you know, we're on the hook for that perpetuity. That never goes away. We own it wherever it goes. However, there were old sewer mains, sewer lines, sewer connections, and drainage pipes that were AC pipe that had been broken up through the years, and it contaminated the pile.
So it was just in the ground, been constructed over, around?
We noticed some of the pieces coming out when we were stockpiling, and we ended up making 2 separate piles, trying to keep a dunnage pile that was reusable and we knew was definitely going to test well, and minimizing what our costs were going to be with the other pile. But we did have a third-party inspection, and we're going to have to follow DEP process. It's covered right now, and we're contracting as we speak to get rid of the pile because I'd like it off-site as soon as possible.
Is there any chance of secondary contamination by moving the pile?
No. Company comes in, they set up all their equipment, they wash their equipment down each day, they go through a tent before it leaves.
So it's already sitting on plastic? Right?
Yeah, it's quite a sight to see. I've gone through it before. It's simply expensive.
And it's about, what did you say, 175,000 to remain?
It's about $175,000, $180,000 to get rid of the pile. It's about 500 ton of material. If you go by the wastewater treatment plant, you'll see it up in front.
Okay. But there was 300,000 left over in the project?
There's more than 300,000.
More than 300. So
Yeah, that's what I was wondering if we could use that for that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
The bid came in at 888. The contract actually came in under the 888. We stayed on queue for the 105 for the engineering aspect of it, the documentation, the permitting. So there is ample money there. When all is said and done, the contract's probably going to cap out at about 1.1 out of the 1.3. So we still saved a good amount of money. I wish it was more, but
We didn't borrow the entire 1.3 either. We only borrow what we need.
So, where do you want to get the funding source for this? Or do we have it somewhere?
Do we have funding source?
Oh, okay. So you
But
just
that
need
was
us-
everything that Dennis described.
just described. So you just need us to make a motion to authorize him
I
to
just need
execute.
authorization. So
Yeah.
I guess
For
I'm
beta
just
group.
curious, so this is a separate project though, you pay it, say, out of chapter 90, or how would we pay, just out of curiosity? Or I know you said the bits and pieces of leftovers out of
Right,
those
so-
two projects.
So there's, we're 99% of the way through this tunnel. I can see the light. It's not a train, but we need to get 100% of the way through. And there is really no other funding sources available to us except for the remaining money from the appraisal services and from the money that we put aside at town meeting to purchase the temporary and permanent easements. I want authorization. I ask for authorization to utilize Chapter 90 as a last resort. If I don't have enough funding, the town accountant is gonna require that I have a funding source. And so if I had to dip into a little bit of chapter 90, then I don't know a better way to do it.
I see. Okay. All right. All set?
Yep.
Okay. I'll make a motion to execute an agreement with Beta Group for tip engineering services, as explained by Mr. Weston.
I second that motion.
For 122,600?
Sorry about that.
No, read that unanimous action.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your help.
Thank you, Mr. Westgate.
Our final discussion item tonight is 7.10. It's to execute a local action. It's an application with the Upton Ridge Development / Pulte Homes. This is looking for permission to begin advertising for the 40B section of the Upton Ridge project. And I believe Mrs. Underdome is here tonight?
Yes.
Hey, Dawn. Sorry to make you wait. Thank you. So anybody that's not familiar with the 40B, it's Shining Rock. It's at the top of Hartford Ave South, and it's the other half of the Shining Rock project.
I think that's correct. This proposal was approved by the planning board in October of 2017, but I think it had been in planning for several years before that. I do have copies of a couple letters that were written in July 28th, 2016, and August 3rd, 2016, with the Selectmen negotiated some of the final agreements to this project. And Gary, you were on the board at the time?
I believe it was 10 units.
Yes. Yep. So it's unusual that there are 139 units total, but because the way Pulte explained it to me, with the extensive costs of developing that land, bringing the water and the sewer in, and also potentially helping connect to that other area and stuff, that they negotiated the number of affordable units down to 10.
Yes, they ran sewer and water, or they ran sewer all the way up Hartford Ave, and they put in a water boosting station for the town.
Yeah, and in addition, they're paying $10,000 for every housing unit built in the project, with the exception of the affordable units. So that would be 130 times 10. So that's a good amount of money that they're paying to the town, and they're paying for the sewer connection fees and the water connection fees.
In addition to the 10,000 per unit.
I think the 10,000
Oh.
is the water and sewer connection
maybe
fee.
it is
I
that.
think is what that.
Yeah.
Was it broken down that way?
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't tell from this. But it's very standard when a town decides to do a development under their local zoning or a special permit, that they file this local action unit application, and it's standard with Department of Housing and Community Development. And it's actually a tri-party agreement between the town, the developer, and the state. And so the town technically submits it. I'm a consultant for the developer, and I've got the information, supporting information from them, but it then will be submitted, if you approve it tonight, will be submitted with the accompanying documentation to the Department of Housing and Community Development. And then they go through all that and approve the application and then the marketing program. And Pulte is already working on this development, but these first affordable units, I don't think will be ready until fall. So I'm not sure, we don't have dates yet for the when the actual lottery will be held for the first phase of units.
Okay, that's great. Any questions? No, I think the only thing, I guess, maybe you can clarify, you said it's $10,000 hookup for water and sewer, with the exception of the affordable units, or the affordable?
With the
units?
exception
Yeah,
of
the affordable, you waive the hookup fees for the affordable.
For the affordable, I see. Okay. That was the only.
But that's only 10 out of the 130.
I see, okay.
Derek, anything that we should be thinking about that we may not be thinking about?
No, I think this process is fairly straightforward. do agree 10 units for that size development as well. And I think we have a member here from the Affordable Housing Trust who would also agree with that, but this predates myself, given the fact that everything else Pulte has done for the town. This is a win for the town. We do get some affordable. We're still trying to strive to meet our 10% requirement of affordable units here in the community. So, are you guys going to? Who's going to manage the lottery? That's what I'm not sure.
I do that.
You are going to manage the lottery.
I'm paid consultant. I told them to do it.
Okay.
But it's under the state guidelines, and the meetings that are held here in town, either the library or the town hall.
Okay.
It's a very public process.
That's what I wasn't sure who's managing the lottery.
I'm sorry, will there be applications available? Because I know when we did it with the thank you, Note and Circle, I had the applications in my office as the town clerk. Is it going to be something
Yes,
similar to that?
There's a specific set of regulations for it, but there's a 60-day marketing period, and applications are usually available at Town Hall and the Public Library and Council on Aging, since it's a 55 plus. And then I would set up a website. They would be available on a website, and usually the town would put them on the website too. So we try to make them available at a variety of places so that people don't have to come, between 9 and 4 or something to get the application.
Is there a preference for town residents that might qualify first, or is it completely lottery?
I don't, I was not told that they received approval for a local preference. The state has made that very difficult to get for towns. If you aren't either at 10% already, or you have a strong housing production plan. It's usually the bigger towns who have more resources that they can develop this housing production plan, because there are a lot of requirements to it. So they make it more difficult to have local preference.
We did that with Lovis.
We
made a local
okay.
preference.
Mr. DeJarno, do you have a comment, sir?
Well, I thought in all projects, the local had preference for I think the first few, because we were mentioning police, fire, our workers, highway workers, to be able to have a chance, if they qualify, to get these homes. We do with the Lower Sim project as well as this.
In the past, the state had allowed towns to have up to 70% local preference, but that is not allowed anymore under their federal fair housing laws. Their goal is to make it open to everybody, and so they have taken away that used to be kind of a carrot to the town to be able to say, oh gee, we can have up to 70% of our people in these units. And the change in the enforcement of federal fair housing laws does not allow that as easily anymore.
Have you heard that, Derek?
I haven't, but I'd certainly be willing to follow mass housing and have that conversation with them. Please do.
Yeah, this would be under DHCD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I know that the Affordable Housing Trust will also check into it. I think we should qualify for the first few to be affordable to up to residents.
Great.
If that's the case, do we have to table this and make sure that we do our homework on this, or?
I can certainly report back. I wouldn't recommend tabling this. I think this is still a good thing for the town.
Good market, right.
We're going to have 10 new affordable housing units in town.
I can speak to the director of the local initiative program at DHCD tomorrow and clarify that whether or not our local preference.
So that's good.
None of the marketing has taken place, so it would be easy to change it if that's allowed.
As long as we can modify.
But all we can do is ask them if they would allow it.
Sure.
But it's, and what you have to understand is it's not a given like it used to be.
Yeah.
No harm in trying, yeah, so.
Right. Yeah, let's
Yeah,
find
it
out.
doesn't hurt or cost anything to.
And then, Mr. DeJardin, do you have any perspective from when this agreement was originally made with the 10 affordable units versus a higher number? I mean, because we're just acting on something that was already in place, so we're not.
Light was still here. We drew this up with her.
Okay, so that's what the original agreement was and all that.
So it's
And you guys were involved in that agreement and supported that at the time? Yeah, okay. That's it.
It's going back.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. All right, I'd like to make a motion to execute the local action units application between Town of Upton and Upton Ridge Development Pulte Homes.
I second that motion.
It's unanimous action. Thank you.
Okay.
And so if people have any questions about that, they can go to, well, that'll be advertised, so they should look for the advertisement presumably. Okay. Yeah, there are affordable units coming on the market, so be on the lookout.
So what did we skip over? So we skipped over exception of regular session minute meetings and executive minute meetings.
What's the library trustee one?
Did we? Oh, that's a look ahead.
Well, that's one I had. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That would be we skipped over 3.0.
See that?
12.0, the most important one.
Yeah, we haven't got there yet.
Brad, you want to make a?
Yeah, we'll do that. You want to make the motion, or do you want me to make it?
Go ahead. You want to make it? I don't have it in front of me.
You guys read the minutes, or do you want to wait till next week to read the minutes? We'll just postpone the minutes until we all read them until next week. Anything from the town manager? Do you have a report tonight, sir?
I know it's getting late, I'll just bring up a couple of things that at least I'd like to plant the seed. I had a meeting this morning with the property owners of 6 Main Street. So 6 Main Street is the building right to the right of the library. So it's the dilapidated building. It's been in disrepair for probably the better part of 15 plus years. They were in pursuit of a 4-unit new construction building there. ZBA encouraged them to move in a different direction. They are now reconsidering maybe potentially putting a 2-unit there, rehabilitating the existing unit. But one of their options that they had mentioned to me was they asked if the town would be interested in purchasing that parcel of land from them. I know that that was a conversation years ago, that the town was interested. They couldn't strike a deal. I think probably in large part because the property owner felt like they had a really good development opportunity. That opportunity may not be there any longer because it's not going to be a 4-unit building. So I just throw that out there because it's something we may want to consider with the downtown revitalization. I asked them to give me a number. They wanted to start with the appraised value in the Board of Assessors office. And so Kelly had, her and Tracy worked on that, and right now the appraised value is about $128,000, or the assessed value is about $128,000. So certainly it's not up for a vote tonight because it wasn't an agenda item, but it's something if you find valuable, something we should discuss on the road.
So this definitely is something that should be looked at by the Economic Development Committee, right? And as we use the money that was allocated at the special town meeting to do that, envisioning this can be part of that phasing plan and, vision for what it might look like. I think it's important for people to know that that's a contiguous parcel with the existing library. So if you wanted to use that footprint for something, that's, something that the Economic Development Committee should certainly be looking at.
But I think before they look at it, I think we should probably take at least the next couple of weeks to kind of digest that information.
Yeah.
And then give some direction in January. We can talk and see what we think.
Sure.
Talk in January and.
We have to bring
Yeah, they can't.
We got to bring it in front of the voters anyway.
Yeah, the Economic Development Committee can't do anything anyway, other than, I'm just saying, make them aware that it's an available piece of real estate. There's no reason not to do that. That nobody's doing anything, right? It's a.
Yeah, and the Economic Development Committee, they're meeting tomorrow. They have 2 meetings tomorrow. They have a series of about half a dozen meetings in the community that they plan on talking about the downtown project. They have a large community forum coming up on January 23rd. So for the next 4 to 5 weeks really getting out there, trying to get the word out for a large meeting where they're gonna bring in a facilitator to do some designing, some creative writing, things of that nature.
Just, it's,
So,
Just
but
put
Steve,
over-
you're concerned about something, so what is it?
Oh, no.
With the purchase of the building, right? Like, cause I wanna make clear, like, I'm not suggesting that we purchase the building or the property. I think it's, I don't think we have any information on that, but I think that the first step would be to have someone assess the feasibility, because there may be private contractors that would be interested in buying that property that have nothing to do with the library, so there's all sorts of things that the Economic Development Committee could do, or the town could do, that doesn't require the town to invest a single dime, doesn't have any impact on taxes, but if that's a parcel that a developer could use as part of some kind of private development deal, then we should make sure that the Economic Development Committee knows that when they're negotiating deals.
I think that particular, I guess since you put me on the spot,
Yeah.
I think that
Well, it's
that
important.
particular parcel actually plugs in very nicely with the Racine building.
Yeah.
The thing of it is, we have to figure out what direction are we going in the future with the Racine
The
building.
Racine building.
So if we were to think at some point in the future that we may, you know, we had a warrant article, as we know, we had a warrant article where we were going to consider
Yeah.
disposing of the property or selling it or, you know, leasing it or whatever. But here's a situation where that particular parcel is, you know, we hate to say it's an eyesore, but
Yeah.
it's an eyesore. And there's a parcel that plugs in nicely with the Pristine building. So I think that's a, you know, it piques my interest, let me just put it that way.
Yeah.
make sure you guys look into it with the
Yeah.
new municipal.
Oh, I was gonna say that, yeah, that's a good point too, not just the Economic Development Committee, but also for the new Municipal Community Center Feasibility Committee as well. Good, so can you just make sure people know about that? Kind of spread the word and let people know, and we can all think
We'll
about
get
it.
some feedback, I imagine if we
Exactly.
spread the word,
Yeah.
that'll help us.
We'll know
Help
quickly what
guide
people
us.
think.
All right.
Hold downtown.
Yeah, and that's why I raised the issue, 'cause I know it was a discussion years ago, and so if it is an opportunity, we should at least have that conversation.
And the assessed value was what?
128.
128.
So I just bring up 2 quick things, because it's really important. The Chief of Police brought this up this morning, that they're rolling out 2 new systems. So one program is called, it's part of our RAVE system, Smart 911, and it's going to be rolled out and publicized come January 1st. But it's a new system where individuals can go enter their personal information. So say they have health needs or they have mobility impairments, they enter this personal data into the Smart 911 system, and if that person were to call from their home, this personal data would come up on the screen. So the dispatchers automatically know what type of environment they're entering, what are some of the issues, and you may have seen some of this already in Hopkinton, Gary, that they'll recognize their disabilities, recognize what health issues they have in advance of going there. So that's it's kind of new technology, and they think it's going to help them be better first responders over time. Another program they're working with the schools in both Hopedale, Mendon, and Upton is to create this panic alarm system. It's an app, and it allows, if it's just mostly for faculty, so think of a school shooting event where a faculty member recognizes what's going on, they go to their app, they hit the panic alarm system, the cameras open up inside the school, so the law enforcement, they have direct eyes as to what's happening in the school, and they can respond more appropriately, again, have more intelligence when they respond to these types of events. So, you know, a lot of hard work. The chief is trying to bring technology into town to try to make our residents safer and respond in a more appropriate manner. So I thought it was important to bring that up, because you're going to start to see that rollout coming in the next couple of weeks.
What did you say the system was called again?
The first one I talked about was so we have a new system we moved to called RAVE. It's the vendor that we use, and the program that the chief is acquiring now with grant dollars is called Smart 911.
It's great, really good stuff.
Very good, thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Anything for the town manager?
Not other than thank you to Chief Bradley, he's doing a great job.
Okay, so no new business. Any new business?
None?
So we received a correspondence from a Kathy Taylor asking about the hours of Heritage Park. I don't know if you could look into where they came from and why we have the hours. And are we getting close to time the light shutting off?
Yeah, I'm waiting for that.
We'll work on it now. I'll get a response back to Kathy.
Seems good. And then maybe we'll put it on the next agenda so we can figure out where that all came from.
Sure.
If we have to change it.
Right. And for the folks at home, the comment or the question was, why is the park closed from November through, I believe it's April? So we'll try to get some clarification on that. If it's easy enough to do, perhaps we can extend the hours of the park.
Yeah. Do you know, Mr. Taylor?
No, I don't. I just know, like you knew, that it's closed from November to April.
We'll figure out where that came from and why. So. Yeah. And then we also had a member resign from the library commission or board, and they will be seeking applications for that position coming up. So, any public comment? Mr. Sherman?
Gentlemen, a couple of years ago, prior town manager and also the prior DPW manager approached me and wanted a piece of land. I gave it to the town. The town used the end of Brook Street and deposited all the material that they dug up from the water line that they put in. So now, I don't have a deed from the town. I mean, I have nothing from the town saying that you own the land. So I'm stuck. I can't sell my land if I ever try to. Somebody will ask me what that big circle is over there that's on my land. All I wanted the town to do, you have permission from town meeting to accept it. Accept it so that I, on my deed, or your deed will show that you own that big pile of dirt. I have not asked for anything. There we go. All I want is something that will show that I can sell my land without a big pile of dirt on it.
Rich, can I ask you, did you have that surveyed?
No, the prior town manager and highway superintendent had it surveyed. Mark Allen, I think.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So if it's already been surveyed, then that's easy, because then we could just work with council to register it at the registry of deeds. So, but I'll follow up with Mark Allen. I don't have the survey, so let me stop there.
Okay, thank you.
We're meeting again on the 15th, but you can email us if something's not resolved quickly.
So you could just clarify, was the deed actually transferred to the town?
No, the selectmen got permission from the town to accept the free piece of land. That's why that the highway superintendent was able.
Was it?
I thought that it was going to happen.
I see.
It didn't happen.
Was that a vote at town meeting to accept
It was
it?
a vote at town meeting.
Yes, I do remember.
So we can look it up when that all happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll follow up with Mark Allen, and we can go ahead and start to get the deed going. Yeah.
Was that in the last May, or was that the November before that?
I think it was November before.
November of 17.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was November 17 as well.
Okay. All right. So you'd like us to just make sure that the deed
Right.
gets recorded and the accompanying survey, and that is then removed off your parcel?
It's off out of my hands.
I see. Okay. Very good. I'm sure we can accommodate.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, yes, I'm sure we can accommodate.
We will accommodate.
Right.
Anybody else? Any comments, concerns? So, anybody wants to make a motion to adjourn?
You got this one?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second motion.
And second.
Thank you.
All right. Give me all the tough ones.
I mean, just assume next time.